G'day, I'm Paul. Cape York preparation. In this video I want to tell you how to prepare yourself and the car to drive from Cairns all the way to the top of Australia. How long, roughly how long it'll take, how much in fuel and accommodation, and how far in distance it's going to be to travel. So, let's go. Quite a few there, quite a few will go. So before we talk about how much the whole trip is going to cost you, let's just talk about some things that planning for getting the car ready and getting yourself ready and getting some things that you'll definitely need on this trip. Solar panel, you want to have a decent solar panel. I've opted for the solar blanket here, and I find that really good just because for me it just works a better combination. The other type you can get is just the solid ones that you lay on the ground and you pick them up and move them chasing the sun during the day. The only thing I find with those is they can be a bit delicate, and also they are quite heavy, so it's more weight you take. Probably you want to try and cut down on your weight, you know. Lose the weight, don't add it on deliberately. Make certain you got yourself a decent set of tools, and this is not my whole set, but it's handy because it's got a fair few, and it's got just the spanner and a little ratchet on the other side. And invest in a multimeter. Even if you don't know how to use it, someone will be able to help you if you've got electrical problems. Maxtrax, if you do the rugged part of the Old Telegraph Track, you'll almost definitely have them off the roof and you'll be needing them. You might notice I put mine up on a little bracket, lockable bracket, and there's my little padlock. That's to keep off the honest thieves. But you'll definitely be needing something like Maxtrax. I prefer Maxtrax because they're the real thing. The guys who researched and put in the effort and the money in research and development made this the perfect one. There's lots of copies if you want to go the cheaper option, but I'm a Maxtrax guy. Bedding for inside your tent. I opted for this yoga mat just because it took up very little room, and I was pretty sure it would give me a fair bit of comfort. But if you look at just how thick it is and squish it down to nothing, it was marginally, might not have even been better, was marginally better than just lying on the ground. If you have something like that as well, random tip, doesn't matter what sort of mattress you have, wrapping them up and tying them up can be a pain. You can get these little guys, get them from super cheap, and they're quite handy. You can get them in a little jar. You get 3 or 4 or 5 different sizes, and the bigger one, which is ideal for this, pull it over and then you pull it over like so. There it is, it's all secure, and then you just tighten this by pulling that little thing there. It's all done, nice and tidy. But probably get something a little bit better than this. The self-inflating mattresses are really good, but I find that they just take up, you know, half of the back of the car, so that's why I didn't take this. A decent set of driving lights. Now, you may not drive at night, but the more lighting you can have up there, the better. You can sometimes just flash your driving lights just to let someone know that you're coming through the dust or whatever. Why have I got a tent up on the roof? Well, I was going to carry the tent anyway. Now I've opted, and this is doing the going up the top, I opted to leave my caravan in a particular place, and from then on I'll be tenting. Now you can either go the cheap option, just grab a cheap tent from one of the supermarkets, or, you know, Coles, Big W, or one of those. The only trouble is they might be cheap, it might not last very well, and might be pretty uncomfortable. I've opted for the Oz tent, which I find is absolutely fantastic. It's also called the 30-second tent, and it means anytime I stop and I set myself up, it takes me about 30 seconds to put it up, and I'm ready to camp. There's the option. And the finance of this, you can pay a couple of $100 for a cheap tent, which might fall apart, might be a misery. You might have to get all of your little things all lined up and your tent pegs in, and then you put the tarp over the top. Might cost you a couple of $100, but at the end of it, it's probably going to be worth diddly squat. So you might get 50 bucks or something for it. Or the Oz tent I've got here, it's about $1,000. Oh, $1,000! You will probably use it for years to come, but if you decide just to use it for the Cape, pay your $1,000, and then at the end of it you can say, oh look, I've only had it for a week, and sell it. You probably get between $750 and $800 or even more, so your loss won't be very harsh, and you'll have experienced luxury in that really nice little tent. You want to get yourself a decent shovel, and ideally, because it's a pain in the butt to have it inside the car, I've opted to get a little holder, a shovel holder, and that holds the shovel on the roof so I can get it quickly. Mine's lockable just in case, why someone would, in case someone steals your shovel. You will need it for 3 reasons. 1, you'll need it to dig yourself out of any really bad bogs you get into. 2, you might want to use it for your bathroom facilities outside. And the 3rd one is if you're doing any track building with rocks and so on and so forth, you probably need your shovel. On your roof rack or somewhere safe, get a water bottle and put some water in it. You may need it, you may not, but it's always handy to have, and worst case you can always give it to someone if they're in a bit of a dire situation. That's up on the roof rack. See, I've got a tent up there as well. Extra fuel, do you need it? Well, I've got double tanks or a long range tank, so I don't think in my case I really needed it. The only reason I would take it would be to be able to help someone out if they were stuck on the side of the road. If you just have normal tanks, then I probably would take a spare 20 litre with you and make certain you fill up at every opportunity. When I was up there, Seychelles was closed and had no diesel whatsoever for 2 days, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, walking our way around the car, snorkel. It's a good idea to have a snorkel on your four-wheel drive, especially if you'll be doing any of the extreme off-roads like the Old Telegraph Track. And some people will think it's just so you're safe when you go into the water. It's not just that, it's also will prevent a lot of the dust you might get. While I'm there, this little cover, which I think is called a Snorkel Buddy, make certain you get one before you leave. I made the mistake and got up to Cohen and realised I still didn't have one and I should have one. So I ended up paying an exorbitant amount of money in Cohen for that. The Cock Tent have got them for $25, and online you probably pick them up for some similar price. Definitely have one of those. Under the bonnet, good idea to have a spare air filter, and every second day, every couple of days, open the bonnet, check out your air filter and make certain it's clean. You don't need to replace it each time, just clean some of the dust out and pop it back. Obviously if it's really bad, then replace it. Bullbar. Well, some people say, oh don't worry, you don't need it, maybe just a nudge bar. The stronger component you can have in the front when you're going on the Cape, the better. That's why I'd recommend a Bullbar and get a good quality one. It's not an advertisement for ARB, but I do have an ARB and I find them quite good. Don't skimp and save, and you can find the Bullbars pretty cheap online. And if they're not a known brand, no offence to those guys trying to make a living, but if they're not a known brand, this is not the time to skimp and save on a really decent Bullbar. Hopefully that'll help you in planning your trip to do the Cape. A couple of mechanical things. Check the nuts on your car and camper trailer or caravan. Make certain they're the right tension and they're all good. And also periodically check them on the track. Take a spare air cleaner with you. You'll probably need to swap that over, but it's certainly a good idea to have one. Get yourself a Snorkel Buddy and buy it before you leave. They're really expensive up on the Cape. And yeah, just check everything's all mechanically sound before you head off, because the corrugations are going to shake everything in your car, including your teeth. And here it is, the final thing, the most exciting thing, the thing you want to know. How far, how much, how long. So let's work backwards. How long? I took 10 days to go up one way. That's including accommodation. How far? 1,030 kilometres from Cairns to the absolute tip. How much? Well, the fuel was between $1.66 per litre and $2.05 per litre, and I used 440 litres of fuel. Accommodation for a couple is $129 one way. Hope that helps. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, it'd be great if you do. So this is Paul Will Drive, signing off.